for me, it became a lot. And then I think I just asked you because it was something that I had been thinking about in my head, which was, am I enough?
Yeah.
Like, can you have fun with just me? Like, am I enough to can you be alone with just me and that be enough and that be okay? Or do you need to fill your time with everybody else and I'm not enough?
Hi.
Hi everybody. I'm Eden.
And I'm Jay.
And welcome to Eden XJ Unfiltered, the podcast where we have created a safe and sexy space to have unfiltered conversations.
We might be the same sex, but we have different opinions.
And welcome back for another episode of Eden XJ Unfiltered.
I can't believe.
I know she just left me hanging. I had one job.
I was just gonna say I can't believe we're on season 2, episode 9. That
I
was
know.
it. But yeah, let's get you your horns.
Give me my flowers, aka my horns. But yeah, I can't believe we made it to a 9th episode. The last episode, if you haven't heard it yet, go check it out. It's really, really fun. We give some interesting dating advice, but from the perspective of bad dates, which are inevitable sometimes. We kind of get a bit unfiltered about some of our bad date experiences.
Yes, it's been well received online.
Has
but-
it? Has it though? Because I think you need to explain to the people what has happened since the
well,
last podcast.
What has happened is that I talked about how toxic some,
Not
not all, but some Gold Star lesbians can be, and all of a sudden now Gold Star lesbians are after me. So
They're throwing their stars at you with little
and
daggers.
it's so stupid, but I mean, whatever, to each their own. But I think it's an important, if anything, that just shows me that it's an important conversation to have if it's
Yeah.
stirring up so much within the community.
Well, we don't have a problem with gold stars. It always just came down to the terminology itself. You don't agree with, we both don't agree with, because a lesbian is a lesbian if that is your choice. It doesn't matter how you got there.
Mhm.
And there shouldn't be a gold quote unquote standard to what a lesbian is. That's just a sexuality.
Well, that's what I mean, and it's so judgmental and it's discriminatory at the end of the
Mhm.
day. So I feel like that's why people are getting, not people, but some Gold Star lesbians are getting offended.
The G
'Cause
in
they're being called
LGBT
out.
does not stand for gold star lesbian, although maybe they might claim it. But, I'm proud of you for speaking your truth, and that's why Unfiltered exists, so we can live in our truth and speak some of our honest opinions and have conversations that, we have in general. And I think that was really, like, honest, and, yeah, I got your back.
Thanks, baby cakes.
The amount of times you've had to have my back in the comments about being a bisexual and, coming from your past biphobia, I'm really proud of you.
Thank you. And I will say there's a lot of bisexuals coming to our defense in the
Yeah.
comments as well, saying, I constantly feel attacked. I've been
Mhm.
discriminated towards. You hit the nail in the coffin. Thank you for speaking about this. No one's talking about it. So
Yeah.
that's comforting. And I feel like you are their voice, and I am a recovering biphobic person. So
I feel like you you could just come forward and be like I want to say bi ally in the same word, but my brain can't put it together. It's like bye bye. That's what you are. Bly.
Bly.
That's
Forever
it.
a Bly. Yeah.
Forever Bly. I feel like you've gone beyond the I'm a recovering biphobic person. No, you're a Bly now.
I am a Bly, proudly.
You're a
but-
gold star Bly. I will give you
Stop.
your stars.
I don't need much stars.
But
Yeah.
that was last week's episode, and that was really, really fun, and I'm glad we got to do that. And this
Yeah.
episode,
Well, this week has been kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, we just did IVF egg extraction,
Mhm.
right?
Oh my goodness, that was an experience for sure.
And now we're on day 6.
6, yeah, day 6
So you should
tomorrow's-
explain to everyone what happens within the 7 days of extraction.
Yeah. So, for those of you who are new to the IVF world or are thinking about having kids, we did IVF. We're doing reciprocal IVF. So, we're going to be switching eggs and embryos. So, I'm going to be making a baby that looks like Jay with her embryo, and she's going to make a baby that looks like me with my embryo. And we are in the process of doing my version of IVF because we already did yours last year.
Mhm.
Jay had the most killer numbers. Like to this day, and now having gone through this experience, it's just so bizarre what happened with your story. And if you haven't caught up on Jay's story, it's on our Instagram at EvenXJ.
We
Her
also have a
whole
couple podcasts
podcast
episodes.
on your journey, on your IVF journey. But Jay had 8 eggs extracted, 6 turned into full embryos, 3 are grade A. So you have to do all this testing, right? And 1 is a kind of little it's hanging in there, and then 1 B. And we found out that we have 3 boys and 3 girls,
Mhm.
which is amazing. I'm not trying to be egg greedy here, but we do have quite a few.
Mhm.
But those numbers were extremely rare and extremely unheard of. The doctors kind of mentally prepared us for only having 1 or 2 because 8 was such a low number.
Right.
And my turn came about, and I guess in the operating room, the doctors I kept saying 10, like I want 10. And I guess they were really trying to get 10, but all they can get is 6. I kept wanting to say 8, but that's not it.
Yeah. Well, when you came out of surgery, you were still under anesthesia, and you looked at me, and I was like, "You did such a good job, babe. Like we got 6. They got 6 out." And you looked at me and you're like, "8?" I was like, "No, 6. We have 6." And you're like, "8?"
And you're like 6, and I'm like, "Oh."
You're like, "Oh, okay."
Okay.
Totally disappointed.
I was on morphine, leave me alone. No, but I think because I'm more of a numbers person, right? So I was like, "Whoa, if I had, less than 8, if I had 6, the odds of me having an embryo is looking like maybe 1 or 2," and that made me so nervous, but I think I was holding on to maybe lightning can strike twice, and sure enough, actually today, so you guys will be the first to know, we just got our embryo IVF results back, and the statistics were right. It's looking like I have 1 embryo that survived, and I don't know the gender yet. It is a grade A, so it is
So it's solid.
viable and it is healthy. But so far 1 has like fully survived. There is 1 that's like kind of hanging in there, but it's a double C, so it's a extra C student.
It's a passing
It's
grade.
barely passing. Like let's take that with a grain of salt. But there's 1, and I think watching you go through it, and it doesn't really matter. Um, Everybody's circumstance is different. We both did the same medication. We both had the same amount of injections. Well, you went twice, but or
Same doctor,
same
same clinic.
doctors. And my numbers were slightly lower than yours, and this was my result. I'm going to be lucky if I have 1, and you have 6. And I'm very grateful for what we have. Don't get me wrong. I think for me, not only am I just very competitive beyond being competitive because I really wanted to like be up there with you, but I think I just thought I would have performed better because I am younger. And I thought I had like a better chance or better odds, but your age truly doesn't matter. It's
Mm-mm.
whatever you're working with. And it's been, I think, a harder struggle numbers wise for me than it was for you.
Yeah, I think you're struggling a little bit, so thank you for being vulnerable. But
Yeah.
I've been saying since day one, we only need 1. We're not trying to start a whole soccer team or league here. So,
We're halfway there.
I mean, if you wanted it, we have 7 total. So, if you wanted it, we could. But at the end of the day, we just want 1 healthy baby, regardless of his, gender.
Yeah.
And
I
which is something that is funny because I wanted a boy. I've always wanted a boy.
Oh, you're gonna put this on? You're gonna put this on the podcast? Because then I'm gonna hold it to you.
What do you
If you
mean?
say what I think you're gonna say. Because I'm gonna pull it up once we get those results.
Dang it,
Those receipts.
where's my
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna say it on here.
All right.
What I was saying was if, at the end of the day, I've always wanted a boy. I have a group of friends who have boys, and I'm the last one of that group to have a baby, and I've always wanted a boy. I've dreamt about boys. Whenever I was asked like what my family would look like, I would always say I have a boy and then maybe a girl. And
Yeah.
so now being that we have one embryo that could potentially be a girl.
Yeah,
At
almost
the end of the
there.
day, I think I'm at the point where it's okay. Like if it's a girl, I'm more than happy to carry your embryo and we'll just do things backwards. We'll aim for the boy after the girl and it is what it is. Like I think the most important lesson for me during this entire process is that I really can't control everything.
Yeah,
I got to let go of some things. And for
yeah.
me, as long as it's a healthy baby, I'm okay with it.
Right now, I'm just trying to get a healthy embryo, and it's like the worrying and the stress already starts, and they're not even here,
Right.
you know? And I think this is just kind of a testament to what kind of parents we're going to be. My next question would be, well, first of all, I kind of felt like I was in the 1800s a little bit because I was like trying to give, I don't know, birth to a male embryo heir. I was like, it has to be a boy. But it was really nice because there is no pressure, and as much as I would love to give you that embryo boy, whatever we get is what we get, and
Correct.
that you'll be happy with. And uh, I don't know. What's the next step? Should we do an embryo gender reveal? Like, 'cause should we do one of those?
No, we're not doing
We
it.
don't know what it's gonna be.
I mean,
This is as close to like hetero and like what we're gonna get.
I guess if you want it, at the end of the day, they could be whoever, whatever they want to be when they grow up.
Could
But
you imagine we could do like a whole reveal of like your embryo is
whatever you
confetti,
want, baby cakes.
whatever. I don't know. Maybe we could bake a turkey and it can be like if the turkey comes out blue or pink. I don't know. Anyways.
Pink turkeys.
I want to get creative, but you know what? Let's let it go.
Can you tell she doesn't cook much?
I thought it could be cool, but I will take several seats and be happy with whatever we get. I appreciate and admire your positivity because it has been an emotional journey for me.
Yeah.
Um, just because I think there's just so much pressure because even if we do this transfer, it's still not 100% guaranteed. So
Correct.
for me, if I only have one shot, it's a lot of stress, it's a lot of pressure. Like, and I don't know. I think our next conversation would be like, do we do this again? Do I try again, or do we just work with what we got with you, and that's
Mm.
enough? So I think we have some things we have to figure out.
IVF is expensive.
Yeah.
It's literally drained our bank account so much, and we don't even have a baby yet.
No.
So with that said, I mean, I'm open to do whatever it is that you want, but
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of money that goes behind it, and
Mhm.
unfortunately, we're not getting any help from anybody.
Yeah.
It's just our pockets. So
Yeah.
we'll have to, I don't know, figure that out when the time comes. But whatever
Yeah.
it is that you want, I'm sure. I mean, we pivot left and right, so we'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
I'm like this close to either going on Feet Finder or stripping or starting a GoFundMe. I don't know any of those options are on the table right now to like figure this out. I'm joking, kind of.
Oh no.
But I mean, we'll get there. So let's just hope for the best. I think we get our results in the next couple weeks. So we'll keep y'all posted.
Yeah.
So that was kind of well. Normally we'd like to start this with like a something we learned on TikTok or something fun or just it happening in
Cheese
the news.
hour.
Cheese my hour, cheese my minutes. But IVF really just consumed our life. It consumed our brain. It
Mhm.
consumed our emotions. And I even turned to you. I was like, "What did you learn on TikTok today?" And you were like, "I don't even remember looking. I can gone. It's just embryo IVF. Like your whole brain goes to
Mhm.
mush, and nothing else really matters other than
Yeah.
that in that moment.
Yeah.
So sorry, guys, no cheese made today.
No cheese my minute today, but I think what we're gonna do is rapid fire questions.
Yeah, because I do feel like that our
Thursdays.
Let's Talk Thursdays. Our questions on Instagram stories are so good, and I get so bummed out because Instagram only lets us do this little tiny caption on our feed, and there are just so much stuff that we want to go in depth about. Because people are really looking for relationship advice or relationship help or some
Mhm.
type of guidance. And so I think let's take it to the podcast and help out that way.
Let's do it.
Alrighty. So I can kick it off and I can ask you
Sure.
the first question. Okay. All right. Question number one. Contestant number one. Question number one. How do I know if a relationship is boring because it's healthy or if it just is boring?
That's a great question. I think there are a couple of signs. One is if you're I don't know, if you fight with your partner and you still wanna be with your partner, like, that's a good sign that it's probably not boring. It's just difficult because there's different communication styles.
Mhm.
So I think that's a good way to know.
Yeah.
If you find it boring because you come from a toxic environment,
Mhm.
that's another sign of you're probably in
Oh,
the right
yeah.
relationship,
No, I
because
definitely
I
agree.
struggle with that a lot. I
You
think
did. You struggled a bit with it in the beginning.
yeah, I used to hate that we weren't fighting
Yeah.
because I was so used to the chaos. So I feel like that was a good sign and that made me feel like being in a quiet environment where you're not
Mhm.
yelling at each other was not the norm for me.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when we were first dating, something that would happen quite a bit was you would fill our time with other people
Mhm.
all the time. And it would be like Monday through Monday, back to Monday. It was hanging out with friends, inviting friends over, hanging out with friends, inviting friends over, going to this thing, going to that thing, always with friends.
Mhm.
And it was so early on, and I was still trying to figure out our relationship and our dynamic, but for me, it became a lot. And then I think I just asked you because it was something that I had been thinking about in my head, which was, am I enough?
Yeah.
Like, can you have fun with just me? Like, am I enough to? Can you be alone with just me, and that be enough, and that be okay? Or do you need to fill your time with everybody else, and I'm not enough? Maybe I got in my head too. I was like, am I boring? Am
Mm.
I boring to hang out with? And you needed like five other people or to be overstimulated in this way. And your answer to it was no. You just struggled with telling people no.
Yeah.
You'd say yes to everything.
Yes.
And it was a FOMO, severe FOMO that you would get when everybody would go out and do things, and then you would feel like you would get mad. You get so mad that you missed out. And I told you, well, I'm afraid that we only have this early point in our relationship once, and we're going to miss it. And we're going to fill it with everybody else, and there's not going to be much left for us.
Mm.
And can we try to work in some time with just the two of us? And that's when that song would kind of come about, when I would tell you, like, can we hang out just the two of us? And
Yeah.
then you would kind of like make fun of me, but it was something that I questioned too. And I don't even think you quite thought about it. And then now you tell me, can it just be the two of us? Can we just hang out? Can you and I just go on a vacation? Because we haven't done that in a long time, just you and I. It's always
Yeah.
with people, and I think healthy balance is great too. But
No, spot on.
yeah.
And I can't even I mean, thinking about why I would fill in the space, I think that before you, my friends were my family.
Mhm.
And so I felt like that was a priority for me to like spend time with them and make sure that they knew I loved them and making them a priority before you.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of the relationships that I was in before you also were super toxic.
Mm.
So I probably didn't want to hang out with them to begin with. Just being honest.
Well, I could see your dynamic with your friends was it was built a lot on gifts and like
Mm,
acts of service. So I would see you needing to either bring them gifts or buy them gifts or pay for experiences. Like when we would go out, if you had enough shots, it would be like all rounds on me. And I'm
yeah,
like, "Wow, okay." But you get excited
I do.
or cooking for everybody all the time, but I saw you when we were talking with your mom, how every Sunday you would go over and you would bring her food, and it was this kind of routine that you would make happen all the time. And I think you realized, if I stopped doing all these things for everybody else, because at a certain point I think you saw how much it drained your bank account
Mhm.
and how tired you were for hanging out with everyone all the time, and to do things for everybody else. Like if somebody needed something, you were there. If somebody, needed anything, it was you were just a phone call away, and everybody knew you would never say no. And so I think there came a point where like you just realized, is the friendship still there if I
Mm.
say no? And then I realized if the friendship isn't there anymore because I said no, then they probably really weren't friends to begin with.
Which is how I ended up friendless.
That's not. Your friends are gonna be so mad that you said that.
At the time, my new friends are awesome. My current
That
friends are
cliffhanger.
awesome.
They're
But
great.
yeah, past friends were shit.
Yeah. Quality over quantity.
Yeah, totally.
But I mean, to elaborate on that, finding really good quality friends isn't easy, especially queer friends. And so that's kind of where we got the idea for our queer friends mixer and now singles power hour. Do you want to tell them about that?
Yeah, so we're having a friends mixer and a single power hour this Saturday at Roxanne's in Long Beach. And I'm really excited because we facilitated one previously a couple months back and it went great.
Yeah.
There's a ton of great energy. We ended up making a ton of friends with strangers.
Yeah.
And everybody clicked really well. And I think it's really hard as you get older to make quality friends. And sometimes you don't want to, like, it's really hard to talk to someone that you just met at the club, with a bunch of noise or at night. So it's really nice that we're doing it in the daytime. And I think that
Yeah.
makes all the difference.
It does.
There's also going to be, drinks and food available. So it kind of takes away all the stress and anxiety of meeting someone as well.
Yeah.
And I think,
And your questions.
and my questions.
And your icebreaker bingo.
Yeah, I made an icebreaker bingo for everyone. And I made custom, like, prompt questions that are themed. So there's going to be certain tables that will be travel themed for those that want to travel and find friends that like to travel. And there's another one for foodies, so people that love to eat out. They can exchange information and go out on foodie dates and so on. So I don't know, I love it. I think we did a great job the last time.
Yeah, and this is still something that we're learning and evolving with, and we get feedback every time. So I'm excited to see what we learn and the people we meet this time around.
Mhm.
And I'm excited to do the singles power hour, the singles
Which is
only
new.
hour, which is new, because it is as much as it is hard to make friends. It's also hard to date.
Yes, especially in LA.
Yeah, and dating in real life, not just on a cyber app and stuff. And what's cool is I feel like people who follow our page, listen to the podcast, thank you, and are just kind of in our social circle, like deeper connections.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the whole point of all this.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
surface stuff.
No boring.
Let's get deep.
No boring stuff. And not boring because it's healthy, like boring because it's like genuinely boring questions like what's your favorite color?
Tell me your trauma right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And I hope I answered that question right.
Yeah, I mean, I would guess to like sum it up, you have to really understand what is boring to you.
Yeah.
Is boring something where something interesting isn't happening or you're not being stimulated in a certain way? Because that's an easy fix. Like if you're an extrovert and love to be outside, then that's easy. You just talk to your partner and just say like, "Hey, let's do outside things." But if you're saying it's boring because you're not fighting, because there's no conflict, because there isn't cheating or some form of tension all the time, then that's not boring. That's being in a healthy relationship and your dynamic for what is a relationship, has been a certain way for so long. And I think the best example I've seen of this is like when you're sailing in the ocean, right? And you're uh, a captain of a boat and you're used to choppy weather, crazy, storms, and then all of a sudden you're in water and it's calm. You're going to think something's wrong. You're going to want to go back to the chaos of the storm and the ups and downs and all of those things because that's what you're used to. But when you're calm and you're in these calm waters, it's natural to not know what to do with it. It's natural to want to leave it. But at the end of the day, one is safe and one isn't. And safety is scary sometimes too, especially if that's not what you're used to. But that doesn't mean it's bad for you because one is bad, it's very dangerous, and one is healthy and it's safe. And I think just training your brain to really realize that just because it's calm doesn't mean it's boring. It's just different.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well said, baby. Where's my
Does that deserve a
Burr, burr, burr,
Oh,
burr.
I'm
That
making me
was great.
blush. You wanna ask the next question?
I got you. All right, next question. How can I help my partner that holds back and struggles with communication and vulnerability?
Ooh.
Ooh.
How can I help my partner? I would say what I learned the most in this relationship to help my partner s- who's struggling with communication
Which
is,
was a thing
which is a big
in this
thing,
relationship.
because both of us did not want to do this. Like we went kicking and screaming to change, and we were angry. We were, I don't know, intense about changing, but it's because it was something that needed to happen, and it was something that maybe we didn't want to happen in the moment, but we definitely needed it. Like they don't call it growing pains for nothing. It was definitely painful. And it was an emotional pain, I guess, to
Mm.
grow. But that's just because we're so used to just crunching ourselves in these little cocoons and wanting to stay small and be in this like toxic behavior because that's all we've ever known. But to grow and actually like spread your wings and to fly in a better relationship, it's pain.
And it's funny because we always have these conversations where I tell you, man, like it's so hard to always have to do the right thing. It's so hard to always have to turn your cheek and be the bigger person, especially when it doesn't come naturally, right? This is all things that you've learned through time by unlearning bad habits,
Yeah.
but it's not fun. And sometimes there are days where I just want to not be the better person,
She
you
does
know?
not want the Michelle Obama. She wants to
Sometimes
take a
no,
different road.
sometimes it's just like, shit, I just want to like go back to my old self.
Hmm.
Um which isn't, I mean, I think it isn't healthy obviously, but it's also just human nature. Like I think it's really, I don't know, I think it's going to come in waves
Yeah.
for sure.
It's not going to be 100% of the time.
Yeah. But that's also something that we should acknowledge and talk about more. Just
Hmm.
having to, the struggle of having to unlearn and practice, like that is tough. That is
Yeah.
hard to always want to be the bigger person.
I will say, I think what I struggled with the most in the beginning of our relationship was not getting my way.
Mm.
I in my previous relationships, shout out to my exes, I guess. They would always they would let me get away with murder, and I would push that line to know how much I could get away with all the time. And what button you about to press?
But with me,
Denied.
Oh my gosh, I could never. The stuff I would get away with my exes, I could never get away with you ever in a
yeah.
million years. But it was interesting because I would get away with it, and if I didn't get away with it, I would just move on. I was like, I'll move to somebody else who can like, you know, not put their foot down. And that was something that like I would have such a dominant personality that I knew at the end of the day, the person I would end up with needed to be dominant. When you have two dominant people, what do you think is gonna happen? We're gonna like go head to head like goats the majority of the time, you know? Goats, rams? Rams?
Rams.
Sorry. Cows? Chickens? We're gonna go head to
Chickens.
head, and that ended up happening quite a bit. But I knew I couldn't treat you the same way I would treat my past relationships because I ultimately wanted to stay in this one. If I want to stay, I really gotta sit down and take some seats and be
Mhm.
humble and really try. And it's not gonna always be my way. I have to compromise.
Look at that growth.
But I would go kicking and screaming.
Oh, I believe
Oh
it.
yeah, when I would be like, I want this, and you're like, that's cool too, not gonna happen, So it's it's taken time, but here we are, and it's not 100 all the time. Sometimes I do get a little fussy when I don't get my way,
I
but
think we both do,
oh yeah,
but
but
that's
we try.
normal.
It's fussy and not angry.
Yeah.
So we'll say that too. You're like, oh, you're a little fussy right now.
Yeah.
But that's just
Pick a
because you
different
have to
day.
compromise.
Pick a different day.
Pick a
That's
different
always our
day.
saying. Whenever one of us is having a more stressful day than the other, we look at each other and we say, pick a different day, 'cause this is my day.
Mm-hmm.
And the other person respects that because sometimes we need we need to just be a little brat sometimes and just
Yeah.
get it out.
Yeah.
It's healthy.
But at least your partner's letting you know, like warning you, you pick a different day because today is not going to be your day if you're going to go head to head with me and just
Yep.
respect it. And that works for us. So maybe it'll work for you. Pick a different day.
Yeah.
That'll be the new saying. All right. Question number 3.
Do it.
How to learn to trust people again after being hurt and let down over and over and over
Oof.
and over again.
I guess I want to understand this question better. Is the same person that you're trying to trust again the person that has let you down over and over and over again? Or are we talking about just being let down in general and then letting people in to trust? You know? Because those are two different scenarios. Like,
Okay, let's try it. Okay. Scenario number 1, it's a person
that keeps,
that keeps letting you down.
I would cut them out immediately because that sounds to me like you've given them 1, 2, 3 many chances.
How many chances would you give a person?
Um,
Be honest.
3.
3?
Yeah. I
That's
think
3
that's
too many for
honest.
me.
I know, 3 too many. And that's part of my downfall too. I'm like a
It's not a
firm
downfall.
believer.
I actually like that a lot about
Oh,
you.
thank you.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in people changing, and I think that change happens over time, right? So like I've had friends that have failed me early on in our friendship because they're dumb and in their 20s. And then they grow up a little bit and they become better, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe we've had a fallout because I don't know, they're going through like a divorce or like a breakup or something, and then they kind of turn into a shitty friend, which is not like I understand that's like shitty, but
Mhm.
if I don't know, I think as people and human beings, we stumble. Like
Yeah.
it's human to like have those periods of times through your life where things are just different and you unfortunately like there's different circumstances. So, I don't know, I'm just a big believer in giving people
Yeah.
second or a third chance. But if you're just a shitty person across the board and there's no traumatic experience or events that are happening in your life and you're just a shitty person, then no, I'm cool with that. Like
Yeah.
I'm pretty quick to let you go. But I have a lot of empathy in that
Mhm.
way for people.
I've seen it. The other day we were driving in the car and we were talking about your mom,
Yeah.
and you were kind of telling me your history and growing up. And when we were first dating, you were talking with her and hanging out with her, like essentially had a relationship. And I think I asked you, and I ask you out of curiosity, not out of judgment. You know, like why did you have a relationship with her? Why did you have any sort of like connection with her? And I think that's just your heart. You know, you want to
Mm.
try and you want to give people the benefit of the doubt, that they could change. And I think if anybody has shown me that, it's you, that people can change and you can give them time, you can give them a chance. It's not for everybody, not everybody deserves it.
Yeah. I think you're right. And I think that's why I'm very lenient towards giving people a second chance because like I'm not the person that I was in my 20s sitting
Yeah.
here now, you know. I've gone through some crazy things. Like I've mentioned before, I've cheated, I've lied,
Mhm.
I've definitely not been the nicest person.
Mhm.
And it also had to do with my circumstances and what I was given and what I had to do to get to who
Yeah.
I am now. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think anybody can change if they want to change, but
Mhm.
that's the question, right? Do they learn from their mistakes? Are they understanding why you can't trust them and are they working towards earning your trust?
Forgiveness is definitely something that I struggle with a
Yes.
lot. That has been something that I'm still stuck in my cocoon and I'm growing and I'm trying. I'm
Growing
trying,
like an
y'all.
inch, guys, like half a pinky.
Half a pinky a year. And you've got 4 little pinkies now.
Yes.
But I will say I definitely struggle with forgiveness. It's hard for me and it doesn't matter how much I love or care about a person. I just immediately go to this very cold place
Yeah.
where you're dead to me type
Yeah.
of. And I said,
You're
she's laughing because it's true.
You're very mafia in that sense. Like your
Yeah.
wall just goes straight up as soon as
Mhm.
you feel some sort of dishonesty
Yeah.
or disloyalty, you're
Mhm.
just one and done.
And I will say, like, there was a time. So for me, for just context, I had an aunt who uh yelled at me. I think when I was like 14, and like she un she not rightfully, she just took out her anger on me, right? For no reason, on a kid. She was an adult who was being a bully and took her frustration out on a kid. And I remember that being like 10 or 11, and I never forgave her for that. I'm like X'd out in my book. I never want to speak to you again as like an 11-year-old. Fast forward 20 years later or whatever. And, she's trying to come back in my life. And like my mom was dying of cancer, and she was my mom's best friend slash cousin at the time. And so saw her around quite a bit, and she's like, I want to help. I want to be there. And, 10-year-old me is like, don't trust her. She yelled at you that one time. Don't ever forgive her for that. And then this other half of me is like, well, it's been, almost 20 years. Like maybe she's changed and she is trying to help me. Like, let's give her a chance. Right. And I don't give people chances like that. What that 10-year-old voice normally is the stronger voice in my head. And I listen to her. But this time I was like, all right, I'm gonna try. And I was still not super close, but kept her at arm's length, and, was trying to develop this relationship. And then we had a huge fallout where she did and said things to me that were unforgivable, extremely nasty. And I go and I think back and I'm like, should I have forgiven her? Like half of me was like, this is why I don't trust people. This is why I don't forgive people. This is why I don't give people second chances. And I think my brain wanted to go there. Like old Eden and old toxic me was like, I told you so. Don't trust people. But the growth with Jay, wifey me, who has learned, says, don't beat yourself up for giving somebody a chance and for trying, because ultimately that speaks volumes to who I am and not to, you know,
Yeah,
to
you had it
who I
right.
am. And it also speaks volumes to who she is. That even 20 years later, you still haven't changed.
Right.
But I have. And instead of now I'm an adult and I can equally pop off on you and treat you the way that you treated me, I'm not going to. I'm going to Michelle Obama and take the higher road and then just not give you another chance. And that's it. Done and done.
Look at that. Look at that
So
growth.
you can give people a chance to an extent. Will I give her a third one? Probably not.
No, I
That's
don't
just
think she deserves it.
not how I
As someone
roll.
who gives everybody a bunch of chances, I think she's done.
Two's my max.
Yeah.
So I think just know what your max is. Just know what your max is. Know what you're willing to give and forgive, and be okay with that and be at peace with that. And I don't need to forgive anybody for nobody. Not for me. I forgive myself.
That's right. That's right. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Oh, well, thank you. I think what something we haven't done in a minute is we haven't pulled one of our intimacy cards.
Let's do
I
it.
think we should kind of close it with that.
Sure. Let's see. I think you answered the last one. So I'll pull one. I don't remember what colors these are. Let's see. Yellow. Good old yellow. Whoop.
We help ya.
Please.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, this is a good one.
Oh no.
Can you remember what I was wearing when we first met?
Oh yeah.
Let's do it. Let's paint the picture. It's a hot summer day.
It was a hot summer day. I was 45 minutes late.
In Venice Beach.
In Venice Beach, you had your orange bikini top.
Oof.
You had your little brown sandals, your little brown chancla sandals, because it was near Venice Beach. And you also had these yellow wavy pants, yellow and white striped wavy, like flowy pants.
Ooh. Yeah.
And you had your hair down, and it was curly, and it was beautiful.
Aw.
Yeah.
Where's my aw? Jeez, I suck today with buttons. Sorry, y'all.
She's rusty, y'all.
That's so cute.
The question is, do you remember what I was wearing?
Oh man, pressure's on. Okay. I think you were wearing heel sandals.
What does that mean?
Like they were heels.
What is a heel sandal?
Well, I don't know. I don't really wear heels. They were like heels, but they.
There are heels and there are
sorry.
sandals. What are heel sandals?
Well, it wasn't like a closed heel shoe. How about that?
Open-toed heels.
Open toe heel. That's what she was wearing. I do not know heels. She was wearing that, and you were wearing jeans.
I was wearing jeans.
Yeah, and you were wearing a black and white top, like a checkered, like it just was a top. And then you were wearing this fanny pack with a bunny on it, or like a.
Yeah, it was a bunny.
All right,
Oh,
look at that.
man. Okay.
What?
Chicken squad.
See that? And I have horrible memories, so I was really freaking out right now.
I was freaking out for you. I was like, man, I'm gonna ace this. I don't know how you're gonna do. I think we have time. We can pull one more.
Go for it. It's your turn.
Oh man,
Good
please don't give me another
memories.
memory question because I feel like after IVF, I just like lost all my
Oh, wow, you're
memory
avoiding the
cells.
yellow on purpose.
Is that a memory one? Oh, okay. What's your favorite meal and why?
Okay, you're asking me?
Yeah, it's a foodie question.
Oh, this is a great question. I can eat Italian food every day on the hour for the rest of my life. I love Italian. Bolognese, chicken Alfredo, Parmesan chicken, like literally anything. Anything Italian. I think I'm secretly Italian.
That's why she stays so skinny. Yeah.
Pizza. Yeah, I think anything within that genre is my favorite. Now, what I like to make, my favorite dish that I like to make, and I could probably make it forever, is my honey pepper salmon, which is to die
Bomb.
for.
But it didn't say why.
Oh, why?
Yeah.
Why? I don't know why Italian's my favorite. I think I was raised on pizza, and that might have to do with it. And you know what? My mom would always, I think triggered her memory. My mom would always make chicken Alfredo like once a week
Really?
while I was growing up, and it was decent. Like it
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
bad. It was actually pretty good. And I think that's kind of like a core memory. So maybe that's why subconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up on a lot of pizza. Like that was the cheapest thing my mom could buy us. So
Yeah.
every Friday we had pizza.
My favorite meal,
Tell me.
I'm gonna die on this hill, is you. And that is all. Why? Because it's delicious.
Oh my god, I cannot. You keep making our episodes X-rated.
I mean, they asked a question and I answered.
You
It didn't say
did.
how. It didn't say. They said, "What is your favorite meal?" That's what I said, and I said what I said. I regret
can't.
nothing.
Where is this?
She belongs to the streets.
Oh my god, that's a button. I can't with you. Okay, on that note, since clearly I belong to the streets, let me let you guys know what's coming down the pipeline because we have a lot going.
Yes.
Speaking of people of the streets, we're taking Preciosa Night to the streets.
Yes, we are.
Uh-huh.
We will be having our 1-year anniversary party on May 20th in Boyle Heights.
Yeah.
And we're pulling out the red carpet because it's our 1 year of throwing this party.
Going
It's been
big.
a long road and we love our community. So literally expect so many special guests and performers for the night and giveaways and
All the fun things.
hopefully some merch because y'all keep asking for merch. And so I think we're finally doing it. Before that, we're going to go to New York on
Yeah,
May
we are.
13th, the
Gonna be in
Saturday
New York.
before. First time in New York with Preciosa crew.
Yeah.
And we're bringing all of our friends, our drag kings. It's going to be a celebration.
It's going to be so fun. And we're going to bring a couple of our friends. We're going to have our friends' friends there. It's going to be a good time. And I can't wait to see the New York vibes.
Me too.
Yeah.
So if you haven't snagged a ticket, please head to our website, link in bio, grab a ticket because tickets are selling out
Yeah.
fast.
Preciosanight.com. And until next time.
Wait.
Oh, no.
Also, leave 5 stars on this podcast if you like what you hear.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure to leave those 5 stars. They're really important to us and they help us with our ratings. And we really want to continue this podcast.
And if you don't feel comfortable sliding in the DMs and you have a question that's like bigger, please feel free to send us an email at dnextj@gmail.com. We will definitely take your questions and bring your advice here to the podcast because it gives us a lot more time than like 130 seconds to do it. So yeah, we love to hear from you. And with that being said,
Yeah.
bye.